design layout. This is going to be a rough draft, so eventually we are going to create one of these digitally, but I'm going to have you work it out on paper first. So you're going to get an 11 by 17 paper, and the first thing you want to do is fold your paper in half. So that'll represent your whole spread, but 2 pages of a yearbook. We're going to be kind of creating this in a yearbook style, although this is not meant to go in the yearbook. So the theme that you choose, the pictures that you end up choosing, the images and all the text and everything, it can just be personal to you. We're just practicing all these design principles that we've been looking at to get an idea for what's going to make a really nice looking layout. Okay. So you're going to want to think about what you're going to do your spread on. For example, if you're going to make a spread about travel, maybe you've got family photos from a vacation that you've been on. Maybe you've got images of the locations you've been or locations you want to go. You've got information related to those items with captions, with the names of the people, like we've talked about. And just maybe some general information. Maybe you come up with a headline that is specific to travel. So, whatever you want to do is great. This is kind of open to you to pick whatever theme you want to go with, but you're going to want to think about that. So, maybe look through some of the pictures you have. Think about what your theme's going to be. Is it going to be friends? Is it going to be family? Is it going to be vacationing? Is it going to be, a sport that you love? Is it going to be music or concerts or whatever? So once you decide on that and you kind of have an idea of what you want to include, you can start with your rough draft. So like I said, you want to fold your paper in half and you want to kind of make sure that you're not putting stuff in that gutter. That gutter is going to be where that fold line is. So when you are measuring out with your pica, you might want to put some space right there on either side of the fold line so that items won't get bound up. Okay, so that's going to be something you'll want to start with. You may want to draw those lines and draw the margin lines around the whole thing so that you know kind of where to keep your work. We mentioned that a pica is 1/6 of an inch, so it's very small. You can decide how much space you want in between each thing, but you definitely want to make sure you're not running into that gutter, or at least not running into it with any words or somebody's face in a picture or something like that. What you're going to do is start designing your layout once you kind of think about what you're going to do your layout on, and you're going to sketch it out on this paper. Eventually, you are going to design it digitally. Since this is a rough draft, you don't actually have to print out pictures and glue them on, but have the pictures in mind that you might want to use because you're going to have to use them for your digital copy of this. When you start designing, you can just draw boxes and label them with what photos are supposed to go there. So if you draw a box and you write, picture of me and my mom from Lake Powell or something, that would be just fine. Okay. So this is just sort of like your rough draft, your mock-up design of how your final digital copy will look. I've listed here on your instructions the guidelines we looked at for your layouts. So thinking of using a dominant photo, that bullseye rule, where you've got pictures generally kind of in the center and then your words on the outside. Looking at some of the rules that you took notes about yesterday. Using columns to kind of make sure that everything is spaced out really nicely, maintaining your margins all the way around, including in that gutter. Coming up with interesting headlines using varied font, size, and style. That's going to be important. Being intentional with your use of white space, okay, kind of using it to your advantage. Establishing the eye line of where people are drawn, okay. Captioning each photo. I've included the caption criteria here, so if you click on this link, you'll be able to see the criteria that we decided upon. Remember, it's got to work for your layout. So in some cases, it might totally work to just have people's names, and then in other cases, we may need more information. Okay, we don't want to make it too obvious. We want the captions to sound interesting. Use of color, that's going to be really important. So how are you going to add color to your layout? What is that color going to be? If you already have some pictures in mind, maybe coordinating your colors to go with what colors are in your images that you're going to be using. So think about those things, because you're going to try to come up with this really well balanced, well designed, visually appealing layout to practice for the yearbook. And then consider your theme. Consider using a folio. I know this isn't going in the yearbook, but you can still put page numbers. Those page numbers can have a folio, something that's going to be kind of related to your theme that goes across everything. Maybe it's a symbol because you're going to do sports and you've put a basketball symbol or something next to each page number. However you want to design it is great, but you need to consider all those things. And you're supposed to be following the rules for this assignment. So you don't always have to follow the rules. Rules are there to be broken. But for this assignment, to show that you understand the rules of design and yearbook layout, you want to make sure you follow those rules that I've outlined in this bulleted list on your assignment sheet. You also want to make sure that you produce something that's well balanced, that looks good, that's interesting, even down to your captions and your headlines and things like that. And then once we finish our rough draft, you'll move on to creating this digitally with the actual images and everything like that. And you'll be able to incorporate some different fonts and stuff like that. Okay, so you're just getting started today. You may need to brainstorm, that's fine, but make sure you are using your time wisely, not messing around, not running around the room, actually working on what you need to be working on. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can send me an email. I'm actually at a work day, so I might be able to get back to you pretty quickly. Otherwise, I will see you all on Monday. Be good.